Hey friends, I'm Sharon Betters, and this is Daily Treasure, a podcast produced by Mark Inc. Ministries, and we have just started our Christmas series, so if you have just joined us, welcome. I hope that you'll pass the word along to your friends and family if you are encouraged by what you hear. And talk about passing the word along to your friends and family. I am so happy to pass along to you that Mark Inc. has its own app called Help and Hope. You can go to the App Store, search for Help and Hope, and it'll pop up right away. You can download it, and there you will find many of our resources. We're adding new resources every day. We are so excited about this app. We know that God is already using it to touch people who would never have heard of Mark Inc. any other way. So that's Help and Hope. It's free. Download it for free. Go to the App Store. Again, I'm so excited to tell you about this, and I hope that you'll pray as people are browsing and looking for hope that they will stumble on Help and Hope, and that there they will see the glory of the gospel. Today's devotional is called Journey to Christmas with the Midwives of the Messiah, Unlikely Role Models. And today's treasure is from Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5, one of my most favorite passages. For he, God himself has said, I will not in any way fail you, nor give you up, nor leave you without support. I will not in any degree leave you helpless, nor forsake, nor let you down, relax my hold on you, assuredly not. And that's from the Amplified Version. I was sitting behind you at the Thanksgiving Eve service, and I'm so glad I got to see how ornery your boys are. It gives me hope as I raise our sons. I smiled weakly, remembering how I took the boys out to apply the discipline because they were so unresponsive to my verbal exhortations to behave. I was exhausted with trying to handle 4 young children while my husband led the service. Failure, not an encouraging parenting role model, is how I saw myself. On a much larger world stage, the women in the genealogy of Jesus most likely did not feel much like role models either. In fact, being a role model was not on their radar screen. They were just trying to survive in a man's world where most of these men did not recognize the equality or value of women. Yet, their lives encouraged me to remember the Lord doesn't waste our mess-ups, our sinful choices, or the sinful choices of others. His grace shines brighter through the cracks in our souls. Their inclusion in this most boring book of the Bible encourages me to hold on to the truth that God is sovereign and I can trust him even when the lights in my life go out. In my own grief journey, I hung on to every nuance of God's presence in their life journeys, choosing to believe he was also present in the dark night of my soul when our son Mark and his friend Kelly were in a fatal car accident. On October 9th, 1993, 3 months after the accident, I wrote today's treasure in the back of my Bible with this comment: I am depending on your faithfulness to keep your promise of your presence as I learn to live without the physical presence of Mark. Grief was my constant companion, and if my body didn't breathe on its own, I would have just curled up and died. I imagine the 5 women in the genealogy of Jesus had similar feelings and prayed often for the Lord to keep the promise of his presence, especially in the dark places. Their stories encourage me to trust our God as a promise-keeping God. He cannot lie. His sovereign love and presence is enough. No doubt the Jewish audience to whom Matthew wrote was shocked by his inclusion of 5 women in a genealogy designed to prove Jesus had his origins in Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that he came from the line of Judah and ultimately King David. Matthew traced the genealogy of Jesus through his legal father, Joseph, in order to validate Jesus as the King of the Jews, Israel's Messiah, and legal heir to the throne of David. All of this would make sense to his Jewish audience, but the inclusion of 5 women, that would not have made sense. 5 women played a key role in the shaping of the incarnation story. In the patriarchal society of that day, acknowledging any female, let alone 5, in a Jewish genealogy was unusual, if not downright frowned upon. But there they are, Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, Bathsheba, and Mary. Imagine Jewish women secretly smiling and fondly remembering the strength and wisdom of their spiritual mothers as they listen to a reading of Matthew 1. Those who love Jesus down through the generations continue this genealogy. If you love Jesus, your name is in this record as well. As you journey to Christmas along with these midwives of the Messiah, look for encouragement clues in their lives that are love notes from God designed to help you walk by faith in the pathway He has marked out just for you. Let their lives enforce two truths: that when you belong to Jesus, you are safely in His grip. God is sovereign and you can trust Him. And oh Father, thank you for honoring women in the genealogy of Jesus. Thank you that their courage, wisdom, and even their broken lives and sins encourage us to trust you with our own life journeys. Thank you for offering us Christmas gifts that cannot be broken. When life spirals out of control, remind me, you are sovereign and I can trust you. Thanks so much for joining us for the Daily Treasure podcast today. And it is our prayer, as always, that each scripture is being used by the Lord to help turn your heart toward Jesus, to equip you and enable you to walk by faith. And one more treasure from scripture is from Ephesians 5:16, where Paul challenges us to make the most of every opportunity. And I want to encourage each of us to be intentional about looking for those opportunities to share the gospel, to reflect Jesus in our interactions with others, and to always have in mind, what opportunity does God have for me today to share His love with someone who is desperate for hope. Thanks again for joining us, and I look forward to being with you tomorrow.